Okay, it is 3:01. I'm going to call the meeting of the Delaware County Regional Wastewater, July 3rd, 2024 to order. Penny, will you call the roll, please?
Me.
Present.
Ray.
Present.
Josh.
Present.
Joe. Present. Joe.
Here.
Linda.
Here.
Ron.
Here.
Minutes, everybody get a copy, see the minutes? If so, I entertain a motion.
I make a motion we accept the minutes as written. I'll second.
I have a first and a second. Any changes, discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Approved. Pete, treasurer's report, please.
Claims from May 31st through June 27th, 2024 is totaling $607,618.40. Account balances as of June 27th, $420,000 in cash operating balance. Improvement fund balance, $1,702,150,056. And we have received the Dale bill tip transfer of $9,411. And we've made the Indiana Bond Bank transfer of $18,554. Currently there's 2, 4, 5 CDs in the amount of $300,000 apiece, with varying maturity dates, as per the policy that was set up a few months ago. I would make the recommendation of approving bills in the amount of $607,618.40.
Question. I get a question on the checkbook. What's the miscellaneous for? I'm one in bookkeeping. It does not like a miscellaneous account, so I'm just curious. There's 3 of them. I'm just curious. No, fine. I'd suggest we get a coding for what they are. So miscellaneous, to me, we'll discuss this later. It's a slush fund. It's not a slush fund, but it makes sense.
We did move some things out of miscellaneous that were in them and moved them around over the few years as we adjusted to keep the best we can out of it.
Perfect.
Can you put together just a list of what you have put in miscellaneous, share it with Joe, and that we can go from there? How's that?
That's perfect.
Okay.
Thank
All right, I've got a first. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a first and second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. Approved. I see no old business, which would take us, Jason, you to new business and Kamak sewer rehab.
In your guys' board packet that was handed out on Thursday, there was a cost estimate that we wanted to run across you guys. Really, I don't know if we necessarily need to take action on it, but I wanted to get it out to you guys and see what your guys' thoughts were. So one of the things that we always do during high rain events is the guys out in the field are constantly going out, popping manholes and trying to track down the next culprit, you know? And one of the things that we've kind of pinpointed was in that packet that went out, in the board packet, was an area in Kamak. It's on the south side of Jackson Street, over by just catty corner from Kamak Station. And it's everything on the south side that would head over to the east side of Westbrook. That is all old clay tile, 8-inch, some 10-inch, before it hits the interceptor that we previously addressed in the Westbrook job. And I had been talking with Rob about this for some time. Had him run some numbers and look at what it was going to take. Then myself and Scott, we went through. The estimate originally came in based on Commonwealth's numbers to it was going to be all encompassing, remortaring all the manholes, new casting, stuff like that. After me and Scott went back out there, looked at it during another rain event, we took out pretty much replacing all the castings. We kind of pinpointed the manholes we wanted to address, and also that area is all old clay tile, and it's gonna have to be looked at sooner than later. So that original estimate of around $1 million we're looking at, it was, I think, 690,000.
692.5.
So, my recommendation would be that we at least try to take this out to bid to see what those numbers would come in at. Kind of had some conversations with Bill, and it's going to have to be something that's addressed sooner than later. And if you look at that map that was handed out in the board packet, that butts up right next to an addition that we did address in the Westbrook job. We went through there and relined some manholes, did a lot of slip lining, everything that would be east of that before you get to 500 and north of that. So this would be kind of a second part and addressing some of those I&I that's we've kind of pinpointed in the last 3.5 years since that original 600 Westbrook job's been started. So I don't think we necessarily need to take a vote to look at doing $690,000 worth of work. But what I would like to do is have Commonwealth prepare the documents and see what it's going to take us to get us out to bid. Some of those soft costs, pre-construction, on the estimate, it's $138,500, and that is Commonwealth's cost to design, spec out, and get us through the bidding process. I talked with Rob, and he thinks it's going to be about $55,000 to $60,000 to get us through the bid part of that. But what I really wanted to do was just get this on your guys' radar and see what your thoughts were, and see if it's something that you guys feel is a worthwhile project to have Rob proceed with, of at least getting us the documents and contracts started to get us to that bid point.
I mean, I think if we tell Thomas that we want to see it at 40 grand for bid prep, he's gonna take it back and make that happen, right? I'll do 20 grand, but. Yeah. Problem.
He'll do it for 20, but he's like,
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, I know we shoved the problem upstream, right? We got both Westbrooks lined, which obviously took care of that problem. So now we're just looking, we're chasing the I and we're going upstream.
yeah, I mean, it's
So we're moving to the west and a little bit north. That'll take it all the way up to Kamak Station. We'll have everything taken care of there with the Westbrook project and this.
Yep.
We line, and if I don't overstep, I think we've got 8-inch, 10-inch in there. We know we've got I&I. This will finish up that whole area there.
I think. Yeah, I mean, and why not?
It's not going to get cheaper,
Yeah,
and we've made some good investments that we can use on that part of it. At least, like he said, get it to where we know what it's going to cost us to go to bid. I'd like to see it wrote up in a contract and brought back to the next meeting for the board to take a look at, to see if it's in line with where we want to go.
I know one
How's
of the
that?
one of the questions is where we're going to get that from. I don't necessarily, my opinion is I don't necessarily know if it's a, go out and bond this project. We're sitting on some good investments right now, or improvement funds going up to. Right now we had $225,000 budgeted this year for any type of lift station and sewer work outside of just contractual services. We're still sitting on over 200 of that. So, and it's probably going to be another line item that's going to be moved on forward to next year. So I think this is definitely something that's worthwhile of improving the infrastructure in that area.
Considering how old it is, it's better to attack it before
Yeah.
it becomes a, develops into a problem.
Yep.
And it's an emergency.
Is during these projects, the cleaning, we don't need to clean it before we
Yeah, that's in on that too.
do we need to clean it before we get the estimate, or before we have them bid it?
No.
So not before they prepare it, not before Commonwealth prepares the documents, but not before.
That would be part of
or whoever is gonna bid
it
on
would
it.
be part of the cleaning and TV and then the actual inlining.
So we're not gonna have to go through that process twice, is what I'm hearing. Okay. I would would make a motion to direct Mr. Richards to ask Commonwealth to prepare a, estimate for preparation of documents for the Camac area project. A second.
Got a first and a second, is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Approved. Alright. Sorry.
I kind of dropped the ball on our board packet, and I had two previous. They're on the stapled copies in front of you, the board members. There was two previous invoices I got late last month that didn't. They were past the board meeting for Commonwealth. One for the Rorton job and one for the Overlook job. Then we since got two more invoices, again for Rorton and Overlook. So we have, it's in front of me. I have $27,375.89 for the Rorton job. I'm more than happy. I hate getting this stuff to you guys late. It's just kind of how it comes to us in the mail and how it gets to us when we get our board packets. That needs approved for the Rorton job. And the contracts have already been approved. This is just invoices concerning those two contracts. Then Overlook job, $24,897.90. If we could get those approved today, they kind of give me a little bit of time to. Some of those are going to be submitted to the commissioners for reimbursement, and then we got to wait time for treasurers to cut us a check and do a pass through.
I'd move to approve the invoices for Commonwealth Engineering in the amount of $27,375.89 for the Royerton project, and then the amount is $24,897.90 for the Overlook Drive project.
I'll second.
First and second, any discussion, questions?
Percentage done.
That's what I was getting, thank you, you beat me to it. I think we're complete, are we not?
Overlook Drive.
Overlook, I'm looking both two different ways, so.
Overlook Drive is 100% live. We did our final walkthrough. We're in our year warranty period. We had about 13 points of concern when we did repairing grass seed, reseeding it, putting some lids on the shut-off valves, stuff like that. We had we got two customer concerns, complaints. We had a post that was hit on a deck. That the post has been repaired, and we're waiting to get that invoice to us. We can give it back to SLB to get the customer reimbursed. Then we have a concrete that was cracked, that's going to be repaired. Some pressure washing stuff. That as far as the system being live, we got grass growth. We're there.
Is this the same concrete situation we discussed last time?
Yeah.
And did we make, we were waiting on video, the last I heard, we were waiting on the video and the pictures.
So that resident came back to us, and the concrete truck did, not necessarily break the drive, but it made it was already broken. It made part of it sink. My recommendation to SLB was to just get with that resident. He ended up pulling back, saying, "I don't know if it's even worth repairing because I'm going to do the whole drive." And I told SLB to get in there and repair it because I didn't want to go any longer and get this drug out. It's pretty much a 5x5 section of concrete that's just sank because it was already cracked. And SLB and Commonwealth has been talking with the resident. And
Customer was good with that solution,
he's acting like he almost just wanted to make it known that it happened and that it wasn't going to be an issue. I told them to get in there and repair it. That's part of it. That's what we're paying them for. And I don't want to come up a year later and not have the driveway repaired and have to come back on us.
Come back to it. Okay.
So they're handling that aspect of it. Yep.
Okay. Okay, I have a first and a second on the invoice. Is there any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Approved.
And also in that same packet, same deal, and again, I'm happy to wait till, next month to get it on the agenda. I have a manhole, I'm sorry, two manholes in Roriton and an entire lift station in the Roriton area. I got a structured, solutions, quote to get those relined and mortared and epoxied. And I can see it in front of me here. I believe it was for $28,581.60. And the good news about that, I believe that we can handle the bypassing internally, and we don't have to bring in one of their larger pumps to get that taken care of at the lift station. And I think we can. He said that he'll have the equipment. If he doesn't use it, he won't charge us for it. So we can get that $28,000 down another $6,500 just if we're able to maintain that area while they do the mortar and epoxy.
Make a motion to approve a not to exceed price of $28,581.60 for the upkeep of the lift station and two manholes.
Second. I have a first and a second. Discussion?
Can you get them when they send us back their estimate or whatever their final quote on it to designate where it is? It says on this that we're seeing, it says lift station manhole coating,
Yeah.
Morton, so anybody would know where it is.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't even see that. You said there wasn't. I'm sitting here going, now that you said that, yeah, I'm looking, it doesn't identify where we're gonna do that. It just had the estimate. Okay, any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved.
All right, thank you guys. Sorry about getting those out late.
Yes, I'm gonna recommend 50 lashings with the wet.
Election update, Jason?
Yes. Additionally, last month we were setting at $1,943.90 of account delinquencies on the capped off list. And last month we had one property reconnected, one property disconnected. Currently, we're at $2,630.35. That number is going to go down. The guys just got letters out on the doors yesterday, and that always improves. So, just that's kind of normally where it sets at. Nothing to be alarmed there. Other than that, everything's going really well. We got 3 of our repaired pumps installed out in the Rorton area this last week. One of the topics that me and Danielle brought up in the past was a kind of a dispute on an easement over in the Rorton area. We've had some back and forth with the homeowner. I think that they're going to end up getting a survey done. We've been able to get in there and kind of maintain and do what we need to do, even to a point where we was able to get one of those pumps was actually being dropped in that lift station, and we were able to get one of the larger service trucks from Xylem in there. So it's been managing. I think where we left off on that is they're getting a survey done, and just want to make sure that we're all on the same page together.
We're at the end of the addition, the dead end.
Yes.
Meadowcrest.
Meadowcrest. I couldn't remember the name, but I knew the addition.
And I'll add to that just a little bit too. So I sent the letter, the second letter to kind of notify him the update from the board meeting last month. He contacted me. I think his mom contacted the office, and there's been lots of communication in the last month. One thing he did say also, he recognized the issue with the livestock and said he still intends to have livestock, but his intention is to put the fence on the east side of the easement. I think he understands we're not liable if he were to put it on the other side and we have to get in there, the gate's open, livestock gets out. So it sounds like, at least as of right now, he plans to put the fence on the correct side to not have to worry about any issues with that gate being open and shut for access. So Jason, I think, filled in the rest. It sounds like the survey will be helpful. He said he's parking on his side of his property staying out of the easement line as of right now. I had gone a couple of times and taken pictures. I have not since he contacted me a couple of days ago. But it sounds
Yeah.
like
It's still,
that's,
it's not where, how we would normally enter it, but I think he's within, on the other side of our easement, it's just not how it was normally handled, but we've since cut a path in and, laid some gravel down where we can now pull in and back in and service how we need to. Yep.
so sounds like it's on the right path anyway.
Any other questions, concerns on that one?
Another update, it looks, Brackney hasn't really gave us an official start date for Roriton yet. They have had multiple contractors come out, subs, and it sounds like we're looking at 2 to 3 months. And it's one of those deals, they've been waiting on materials, and also it doesn't necessarily make sense for them to come in, dig, and, it just has to be all ready at one point. They're bypass pumping, they're digging. We've had some wait time on some easements that Danielle's got to take care of, or at least got the documents out to the correct farmer and landowners, and I think we're moving forward there. Normally we'd have a monthly meeting tomorrow, but we pushed that back, and Riley from Commonwealth said he would update us with anything he's heard moving forward. So it's going to start happening, but just not yet.
And we've got just a little bit of time to make sure the easement comes back. The actual landowner is in Fort Wayne and he's elderly. So I don't know if the farmer plans on driving up there or if he has someone in Fort Wayne that, helps print and get the stuff to the landowner, but he said he'd take care of all that. And he's had them just a week or two, so I'm sure that'll take just a little bit of time to get those back, but he does have them, so.
Yeah. And the last thing I got, I at the beginning of the week I got a insurance letter update. So our vision and dental it overlaps in September, and they sent us our new premium. The chamber is going to be pricing other options and getting that back to us before. We still got some time to make that. It really don't start till October. I'm sorry. But where it kind of sets right now, vision seen as 0%, no increase, and we haven't seen an increase in that in probably 3 years. Dental is seeing right around a 3.5% increase. It's $12 a month for the entire staff. So once I get a little bit more information on that, I'll get that out to the committee group, and then we can probably come back with a recommendation for you guys too. That's all I got.
Do we got any other questions for Jason? Danielle?
Okay, on the property on County Road 350 North, I sent the updated letters out regarding that issue, so I haven't heard anything, but I'm assuming that's all good to go, and if they decided not to move forward. I never heard back from them even before that letter went out, so I think they stood by their decision not to move forward with that pump, so. The fun
Hang
one,
on just a second. I don't mean to jump, but Stephen, I see you sitting here. Are you aware of that conversation in 350 of what's going on there, sir? Why we got everybody here?
So what I understand is the Muncie Sanitary District went out there and we got permission from IDEM to go in the bottom of that manhole and empty an outlet into the creek. And we went out there and videoed it after the last rain. I don't know, Jason, if you were able to see that or not. But the offer was from the Delaware Regional Wastewater District to install grinder pumps. And the owner said, hey, we don't want to pay for it as far as electricity and those types of things. So right now they're refusing to have those installed because they don't want to pay for it. And what they would rather do is wait and monitor the situation. We haven't had any real heavy rains since that happened in April that put the raw sewage on top of their property out there. So I think they're in a wait mode to monitor and see if it recurs, or if the repair that the Muncie Sanitary District did fixes it. There was also a collapsed culvert out there, and that's typically the county highway department's responsibility, but while we were already in the ground, the sanitary district went ahead and fixed it.
I just want to make sure you're aware that we did send and they did refuse and it was going back. And I know you guys, we went out there, you put the barrier up for the overflow, but I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page.
Yeah, as far as I know, well, so the property owner did call me and said that you guys had made the offer, and but he didn't want to pay for the electricity and those types of things. He just wanted to monitor the situation. So, you know, I guess there could be a scenario where if it happens again, he may come back.
And we also sent a letter to Mara that I'm sure she'll be discussing with you. He made some allegations saying, you know, I'm being told this is all your guys' fault and this has nothing to do with the work MSD is doing. And so the letter basically says if you have the documentation, video, and cameraing, please share that with us. Otherwise, if someone is telling the customers this is all on the regional wastewater district, refrain from doing that until we have some sort of documentation showing that. And if there is cameraing that says it's over on our side of the line or something, then we need to know, but we just don't have anything showing that. So
Yeah, I don't know what they're talking about there. I mean, I do believe there's I&I on both sides. We know there's I&I on the line that picks up at that point and goes south. That's the Muncie Sanitary District's responsibility. And we do know that there's I&I coming to that point. I mean, that's a stormwater drain, and it's putting raw sewage up on top of the ground. So we know there's I&I coming to it, and we know there's I&I going away from it. I think everybody agrees to that.
A stormwater drain.
Yeah, it's stormwater, right? That is dumping. It's when it has a heavy rain, it's stormwater that causes that problem. It's not that there's extra sewage flowing every time it rains.
Are you talking about the one that you guys repaired? I guess I'm confused.
Yeah,
We're at 350, are we not?
yeah, we're at 350 north,
North.
right there.
Yeah,
right there.
yeah.
Okay, so when we have a heavy rain, it was putting raw sewage up on top of their property, and they were unable to flush the toilets or take a shower.
Yes, correct.
Right. So it was stormwater that was causing the problem.
Yes.
Okay. So we know there's I&I because the Muncie Sanitary District cambered the line going to the south. We know there are
They camera it.
I don't know that answer.
I think they cambered. My understanding was just from the original the original incoming flow on the north side, just underneath the road.
Okay, yeah, I don't know that answer.
Yeah.
I can find out.
Yeah.
But
And I'd like to see, if you guys don't mind releasing it, I'd like to see the video, just even if it's just that.
Oh, well, when we were out there that day, when you and Bill were out there, I thought you said that you had seen the video, so I don't think there's any problem sharing the video.
Yeah, I haven't seen it as I did it.
My point is, every time it rains real heavy, that's what forces the sewage up on top of the ground and causes them to not be able to flush their toilets. So there has to be some sort of I&I, or it's not like there's extra sewage every time it rains and forcing the sewage up on the ground. It's the stormwater that's forcing the sewage up on top of the ground. That has to be an I&I thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Agreed.
All right. And I want to state it again. I'm admitting there's an I&I problem on the sanitary district side, but there is an I&I problem coming to that point from the Delaware Regional Wastewater District side.
I believe that's not what's causing the overflow at that manhole. Is
Okay.
my opinion.
I believe it's contributing. I'm admitting that the sanitary district has it, but you guys do definitely have I&I coming to that point. Okay. So yes, I'm aware of it, Bill. Short answer to your question.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, wait, it's still my turn, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, so I feel like there's not been a month I've been able to come and not say there's been a little bit of hiccup during the month. So we have been working for months to try to get easement documents from Wasson Nursery. And on Friday, I was finally able to review an email that had a legal description that Ashton had prepared that was starting the process, and I began to plug that into a deed and dedication for those lines. And I started to look on our program to get the existing easement documents they would have had with those landowners so that I made sure the names were titled exactly like they would have had them because they're just dedicating those over to us. So I couldn't find anything. It was the end of the day. I thought, well, we'll just come back in the next day with fresh eyes, and sometimes Laredo can be tricky to access. I took a good while yesterday morning. I could not find anything. I tried plugging in names in all different ways, the parcel numbers. I tried the addresses in different ways. I got on the Secretary of State. That southernmost parcel affected is a business, so I tried digging into the actual owners' names and thinking maybe they put them under the name instead of the business for some reason. I couldn't find anything. So I know the two parcels affected on the north side, which are the Richies that sold the actual nursery to Lawson's that had Richie's greenhouse back in the day. I know his daughter, and I contacted her and asked if I could have his phone number and thought maybe this will save some time. I'll reach out to him and see if he has those documents handy. When I called him, he just started laughing and basically indicated he'd been waiting on this phone call and said nobody ever secured any documentation from him, and there were no easements signed, and he also was told that he would be receiving a letter from this district guaranteeing he would never have to hook into the system from Judd, and that document never came signed from this district either. So I told him that unless there was a meeting I missed, that was never presented to us. He has significantly large parcels, so he wouldn't have to hook in anyway, so I explained that wasn't on the table, but also was not something that had ever been talked about at any of our board meetings. I asked him about the Mann Brother Holdings, which own the parcel on the south side of 332, if he knew either of those people to contact the brothers that own that, so that I could find out if they had any signed easement for what was on their side. He said they refused an easement, and there's actually nothing that touches their parcel. It connects just in the roadway, which the legal description that Lawson's did provide that does not show that. It actually has the Mann Brothers property included on it with a drawing that is on the property, not in a right of way or in the road, which is even more confusing. And I said, well, okay. And he goes, look, I'm telling you, I can sit on my front porch and I watched it, and up until they just paved, he said, you could visibly see it does not touch that property. Okay. So back to the drawing board. He said, I'd love to know how this is going to be handled here because I've basically been waiting and nobody's ever contacted me. And he said, these lines are in and I've heard nothing. Part of the redevelopment commission giving Lawson that $200,000 was premised on the fact that they dedicate those lines to us, which they can't do because they don't have any of the proper documentation for the lines. So we have, I guess, a couple of things that you can do. I think Lawson's needs to be put on notice that there's this issue. One, now I've spent a couple of days deep into trying to figure out what in the world is going on. If we go any deeper into this, I think Lawson's needs to be paying for it because this was supposed to be a donation to you guys to maintain the lines from after the point of receiving the lines. But the other thing is, is it even your problem? Do you just send them the letter saying, you're on notice that you're maintaining your own lines until such time that you clean up the title to your lines, which I think is maybe even what you have to do, because at this point, all you are is providing the treatment and sending them a bill. I don't know that it's your problem necessarily to fix at this point either. So I guess I need direction from you guys on how you want me to proceed. I need to make you aware of the problem.
Has Watson's created a situation where they have put us in a position of being negligent and doing inverse condemnation because there's no, I mean, if those lines were supposed to come to us, and if we were gonna go out and build them and somebody said no, our appropriate action would have been use of eminent domain if we felt the project was worthwhile. In a previous life, I may have affected some inverse condemnation accidentally, which meant that we had to go back and get appraisals and then provide a financial. And so ultimately, what I'm saying is potentially we're in this position,
So the topic of payment came up,
right?
and I think that, and that's what I called Jason yesterday to say, I think we've got a problem, and I wanted to find out who the engineer was, and we dug up some old paperwork that we had, and it was J&S Inc., which I wasn't familiar with. The guy's name, John Connor, was that it? Not familiar with him. I think that's a topic of conversation Mr. Ritchie wants to know about. And I think that's a topic of conversation, I think Alan's willing to work with us, but if we're going out now and trying to secure these easements, now we're looking at having to pay for them, and
Right.
that's not our responsibility.
Right. I mean, that's what I'm getting at is I feel like we're going to end up doing this. So I guess from a legal standpoint, I almost feel like we need to file some kind of action against Watson's. I don't know that.
We don't have anything, Regional Wastewater District doesn't have anything in this as of yet. They have not given us title and everything proper to go. So we're not in this fight as of right now. They have not properly done it. What they have between DCRC and them is not in our realm and nothing for us to get into.
And I understand that thought process, Bill. The problem is we're the end. We're the
Right
end
now, they're paying
collector.
us for treatment, for flow only coming out of there.
Yeah, but at some point, somebody's gonna make the argument that those are our lines because we're treating the waste.
I don't see how they can
Right now, I'll say,
make an argument, yeah.
That's why I say no one's sue-proof either. You can have the best contract in the world, and anyone can go file and try to make a claim out of it. That's why I try.
I think we give them back notice from the attorney that they need to get the easement straightened out and they need to bring this to us in a completed form. She's already spent 2 days on this, and if any further of this, then they need to they need to reimburse us for legal fees and send over. Because they sent us a false document that said the easement was proper, the description correct? Crossing Ritchie's land and all, which is,
I
we
don't
have
know if
found
they
not
just
to be at
don't
this
know,
point.
or I can't figure it out, to be honest with you. I am not sure where the disconnect is.
I don't wanna come off hard against a business that is providing great service in the county and everything else. And it's not that I'm trying to blame them. I'm just fearful that because we are now the recipients of the waste, that we are going to be the ones that they're gonna say, those are your lines. They don't care whose lines, that Mr. Ritchie doesn't care whose lines they are. And this argument of their Watson's lines versus their Delaware County Regional Waste lines is a nothing burger to him. Ultimately, what he's gonna say is, somebody crossed my property, and he's gonna come after both of us when it's all said and done. I would, if he wants paid, and he should. I mean, we bought an easement.
Exactly. No, I agree.
Not
It was
we.
just done backwards.
Yeah, it was. It was absolutely
It's totally done backwards.
Right. It
And
was
now
done-
he's the driver.
Right, and that's it. But how do we insulate our board from the responsibility is what I'm driving.
Right.
And I'm not entirely sure that a letter, much as I love a good attorney's letter, I burn half of them.
You don't have to burn it, you just throw it away.
Yeah, but it's more fun to burn it.
So what what is the suggestion at this point?
I don't know that I have a suggestion. I'm honestly looking, I'm probing a little
Well,
bit here. from
okay, so
legal.
here's my thought process, I guess. I don't know if the disconnect came from Doug, engineer, Lawson's, where it came from. And the thought of starting with a letter is maybe they can figure out their problem and resolve it in a timely fashion. I mean, I think at this point, they need to prepare not only securing the easements, making sure he's paid, but they need to prepare the deed and dedication. I mean, I think at this point, the expense wholly becomes theirs because I've already invested enough time that we weren't supposed to have to be out. And the nice thing is, I will say, I truly believe Mr. Ritchie is not going to jump to anything. He was completely kind about everything. I do know him, his family very well. His grandson and my son are freaking frack. And I think he will work with us and not jump to anything to that nature. So I know he'll give us time to try to figure out the problem. But you're right. At some point, somebody has to figure out the problem that they created along his property, which is almost, I think, 1,200 feet along his property. It's not a little amount. It's a good distance.
I'm probably good with the letter, and I just ultimately would task you as our legal counsel to start thinking what's the parallel track that if we've got to get in a different position to protect ourselves, then what is it?
That would have been the contractor going in to make sure that the engineering and all the designs, the easements were obtained, properly done.
The contractor wouldn't have cared. So
No,
they
no,
were
the,
gonna-
I don't know.
the engineer would have been the one to set it up,
That's
whoever they hired, the engineer should have secured the easements and all that, and give that over to the contractor, and that obviously didn't happen.
That's what assuming that's what their contract called for.
True, we weren't in on that.
Yeah.
That's why I say I don't
mean,
know
it's-
between the three where the disconnect was.
Okay, so what would the board like to do? You proposing the letter?
Yeah, I mean, if you need that in motion form, I'm happy to make the motion that you draft a letter and then,
I think I'd
I'd like
like
to do
all
that
of this in,
Let's keep it in the minutes and keep it going as the board.
so let's do that. And then, and on the backside of that, I would ask legal counsel to at least begin thinking about what that next step for insulation for us is.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a first and a second. Any further discussion, comments, concerns? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Proceed with that. Your next thing, Daniel?
that's it, that was.
That's all you
the
have?
one.
Okay, moving on. It's Ashley, Spotted Monkey.
Hello, everyone. So last month we had 81 Google Map interactions, 14 phone calls from the Google Maps, and 56 website clicks. The only video we added last month was the board meeting video. Email is still going strong. We sent out, delivered was 1,746 with 817 opened. One thing on the analytics I want to show, even though the unique visitors and site sessions was up, the post views were down 39%. We still had 84 post views. But in May, we had a lot of posts. We did several different updates, so I think that shows the importance of having different updates that we can put out because people are clicking on those links and viewing those different updates. We also just put out an update that didn't make this report, but it was completed early yesterday morning. There's going to be an invoice cloud outage on Sunday from 5 in the morning until 8 in the morning. So we just added that to the website and did it on social media. We also have a reminder going out to just let people know that their payments, they may not be able to make payments during that time. We also put the post out that July 4th, the offices are going to be closed.
Did we vote on that?
You guys did vote on that. You can go to the website and look at your 2023 minutes of when you voted on that. Are there any questions or any updates?
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Have a good morning.
Okay, I'm gonna skip over the committee reports right now. Commonwealth, do you have anything? All good? Okay, I'll go back to the committee then, jumped over that. Do we want, since we got a full board here, do we want to, set committees for budget and for health and the vision and dental? Do you want to go, well, we have everybody at the table right now?
Sure.
This is July. It's coming, folks, fast. Boy, everybody just smiles when come on now, let's don't be the first to jump.
So we need employee, we need, salaries and all that kind of stuff for them.
Yep.
Right?
We need,
I served on the budget committee last year.
Ray, Joe, and Brenda.
Man, they did a great job. I still move.
I think it'd be good. It's kind of the newest person on the board.
place. Okay.
That's not allowed.
Right, that was good. So that would put us down to Josh, Joe, and Brenda on the budget committee. Are you guys good with that?
That one,
Joe, you've
I'm
always like
fine
that.
with
I mean, you
that.
good with
I
that?
like
You good with that?
numbers, so.
Brenda, you good?
Very good.
Okay, so we'll go with those, Josh, Joe, and Brenda.
Budget, right?
That's on budget. Okay, and then the healthcare side of it,
Yeah, that's the same one.
Huh?
That's how we do it, the same one.
use the same
Yeah.
committee, let both of them, okay.
Yep.
I thought we did last year, but I wanna make sure. Have we seen it, have we had anything from healthcare yet?
No.
We won't see that until,
Goals in January, but our vision and dental is
Okay, so insurance
October.
is due.
don't we usually get something about September, October, about an increased notice?
They'll start pricing as soon as I start asking them for the information, what's coming next year, and
He put together a spreadsheet for us on,
That was
guys
last
can
year,
put it
this
within the
year,
budget.
and then I'll discuss it,
Okay.
yes.
Who was the insurance?
it's the same.
It's the same
Oh,
group,
same.
same group is gonna handles both, cause it'll go tied in.
Okay. Too many people talking right now. I'm getting confused.
Okay, are you good? Can I move on? Thank you. All right, that takes me to the end. We're not down to nothing. Public comment. Anybody?
John?
John?
John Christie,
Could you please step up to the podium and the mic so it can be recorded, sir? Thank you.
John Christie, Washington Township resident. I just question, is there a project, does Westdale Schools have a project to run a line anywhere? Or, I'm third generation out there and kind of been following along, and I see a great need and, kind of some stuff that's happened, and I don't see the end. I don't see the good solution to this, so I'm just curious.
Christie, I'm gonna let the attorney address this right now because we are in back and forth right now, so I'll let her address this.
You're in back and forth with Westdale Schools?
Well, no, I'll let her explain exactly how. There's more players involved in this. I apologize. I just wanna make sure we get it straight and for the first time for you, please.
So he may be tired of hearing me talk about this, but
Never.
so we did prepare a packet of information for IDEM. After IDEM contacted us and asked us those same questions, we notified IDEM that there has not been a line of communication for, right at about a year and a half now. Once the original deal fell through where Westdale was going to, decommission their plant, run lines up to Gaston. We were going to service those lines. There has been no communication since that time. There is no ongoing communication, no deal, no project anticipated. I'm not saying there never could be, but I will say it would be extremely difficult at this point. One of the things that was beneficial back when we had started those communications was the financing that we had available to help with that project. There was nearly $750,000 on the table to help fund that project. That is gone. Subsequently, Westdale had come back to the redevelopment commission for the county and asked for up to $200,000. That money has since been rescinded, so that money is gone also. So this board, as far as our contribution, I'm not sure what contribution we would have to give at this time, but there certainly has been no communication. Westell did reach out, I think, a couple of days before our last board meeting and asked if we would sit down. Our president did respond, we would be willing to sit down, but please let us know how you would envision our role to play out. To which the superintendent replied, I must have misunderstood, I'll let the board know you're not willing. Which was not what Mr. Walter said, because I drafted the email that he sent. So, I don't know if that answers in whole. You're welcome to ask more questions, but there is not a project with Westell Schools. And has not been for some time.
If Westdale Schools and let's say the town of Gaston were having discussions about this, would you folks have to be involved at some point?
Not necessarily, because earlier this year, when Gaston was talking about their fire territory, there was an email that the superintendent had asked Gaston to sit down and talk to them, and when Gaston asked if Mr. Walters needed to be present to represent the regional wastewater district, the superintendent said, I see no reason why the district needs to be involved at all. So I suppose there is a potential that they could do something without us. I'm not sure what that looks like. We've not been privy to any of those engineering plans or project ideas, but apparently there's some theory that this could be done without our involvement.
Does Harrison Township play a role? Because if they were to do that, a lot of the actual work would just go through Harrison Township, would it not?
Jason, I'll let you do.
The answer to that is
But
no.
that-
The township
the-
has no regulatory authority for sewer. Traditionally, townships provide fire districts, poor relief, those type
I
of
think
items.
you already said
They're not regulating sewer. They're not providing sewer as anything else. I mean, if they had cash and they wanted to put cash towards the project, they could by doing something, but there's not really a function for the township to be involved. The regional wastewater district makes sense as a partner, as does the town of Gaston. Yes. But, I mean, to answer your previous question, could the town and the school put a private line, could they go out and obtain their own easements and drill a private line to the wastewater treatment plant and call it a day and they just become a customer? They absolutely could. There's nothing that prohibits the school from doing that or the town from doing that. There's not a real benefit to neighbors. To me, it doesn't seem like either one of those parties would have the wherewithal to do that. Yeah, I mean, that'd be a cost that would go there, but the township, to answer your final question, the township really would have no role. There's not a direct role. Well, you're cutting me off, so that's my final question. No, I'm not. That was my final question. No.
He's teasing Pete. And John, I'm sorry, I thought you were asking as far as Harrison Township, like would lines go through Harrison Township, not necessarily
I
would
just
Harrison
thought
Township
because
play a
it,
role.
he basically would cut through rural Harrison Township, that perhaps they.
Yeah,
would
that
play a
was, okay,
role.
that's why I asked.
They'd obtain easements from those direct owners, but yes, they could do it. Harrison Township wouldn't have the involvement other than the private owners.
And then maybe a little bit of a technical
Wait,
question.
Thomas wants to
has
say
the other-
something about that.
the other.
We are Gaston's engineers as well. And I just heard back from Rob, who's our engineer on this project in Gaston. And he said, once again, to Danielle's point, anything could be possible, but we're their engineers and they haven't discussed that with us. Gaston and Westdale privately. So outside the district, I would say it's probably highly unlikely. Not improbable, highly unlikely.
Gaston have the capacity to handle it?
Part of the initial conversation before they got cut off, And when we were involved, Gaston wasn't willing to accept the flow, and we got brought into the conversation because Gaston didn't want to handle that additional infrastructure. Yeah. So that's one of the reasons why regional wastewater was brought in. They wanted to stop at the point of when it hit the town and go, didn't want to handle the lift station, force main maintenance, and upkeep from going from the school to that point. So that's kind of where regional wastewater got brought in.
Yes,
I believe that Gaston would have capacity for it, just off of past up there.
22 and 23, I mean, at the end of 22, they were willing to accept it, so they had it then. And we're not gonna speak what they would accept now. I mean, I wouldn't be I don't keep track of their outfall.
Gaston's council has also told me that they've asked Westel to see whatever engineering plans that their engineer has prepared and has never been provided anything so that they could discuss it with Commonwealth. No.
A little bit of a technical question. The Westel had went to redevelopment to try to get $152,000 for a little project, you know, I'm gonna call it a Band-Aid or whatever. If Westel was to do the bigger project and connect to Gaston, would that work be included in the bigger project? See what I'm saying?
No, if they were to proceed with the bigger project, there would not be a reason to line the lines that they're trying to do, put the Band-Aid on right now, because that would alleviate that whole plant. There would be a lift station that would it would decommission it, that would be taken out, and that lining would not have to be done if they proceeded to move with the larger project, to take it all the way to Gaston.
So the $152,000 project is just
A Band-Aid.
Yeah.
Exactly what you said, sir.
They were trying to cut out from my conversations with IDEN, they're trying to cut out some of the rushes of water they get that are throwing their numbers off and their levels off at the plant. And so when it gets washed out, they're not properly treating. And I think that 152,000 I never saw what that really consisted of or how much that was going to take place, but it was to try to keep the levels from getting washed out whenever they would get those high rain events. So it would probably still be beneficial to do some of that work, because if it ends up getting put in the lift station and forced to Gaston, that's going to be a amount they're going to pay for when it comes treatment. But my thought was that would just be that's a small fix to a larger problem of the package plant needing rehab.
I know I'm going to ask an impossible question, but if that project was to take place, say from Westel to Gaston, any guesstimation as to what the cost would be?
We did an estimate, with the county 2 years ago, 22. I think we were right at 2.5 million at that point.
Yeah.
I think it was right at 2.5, 2.7 million in 22.
And that would totally be the responsibility of the school.
Yes. And at that time, now it would be. At that time, we had secured there's some other funding out there, SRF funding that has percentages of forgiveness and grants. There's also, John has some, money that was awarded in the infrastructure bill, where he has an additional $150 million a year for 5 years. I believe 2 years or 3 years of that is gone. That money is all that I know that is left on the table, other than the SRF grant, or just straight out bonding the project.
Thank you. And I want to thank Danielle, has just been fantastic on this and continues to be, and has done just great work on this.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir. Any other questions, comments? Or do you have any other business to bring before us today?
Adjourn.
I have one motion. I have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.